Baltimore's defense gave up season lows in total points, 3, total yards, 205, yards per play, 3.8, and rushing yards, only 36. On top of it, they had 3 turnovers and 4 sacks. So they're really beginning to put together Coach Macdonald's concepts. And particularly, you got to love what Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are doing. They're getting that relationship that good inside linebackers have. PQ had a monster day, 12 tackles, half a sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and a quarterback hit. Let's look a little bit of the film, and you can see what I'm talking about in the way they're working together with the mesh. In the first play, this is a 5-man rush with JPP on the edge. He and Roquan Smith draw the offensive line to their side. You can see the center call make it going to their offensive left, and then they take JPP and they drop him out. So they bring Smith and Queen. So it still ends up still a 5-man rush. But here's the great part. Because the line gets drawn to that side, the running back gets isolated on Queen, which is a huge mismatch. The back doesn't have a chance against an athlete like Queen, and you can see what he does. He comes in, he starts the power rush. He can see the line turns away. He gets the power rush, and then he recognizes he can slip to the outside. Just about the time Houston gets there, and then he ends up with that half a sack each on Mayfield. Real well-designed pressure setting up Patrick Queen. On the next play, the Panthers they love to run counter plays, and that's pulling of the backside guard and tackle. Now, the rookie Travis Jones does a great job of slipping the OC block, and now he gets in, he disrupts the pull of the backside tackle and the guard. Queen sees the action, and he slips, great recognition and reaction, slips in behind the offensive guard's block, and ends up stuffing the run for no gain. This was a great read and react off the counter series by Patrick Queen. Now, the next play, this is just great team defense, okay? You can see Urban powers inside the pulling offensive lineman, okay? And while Smith slips in behind the gap. Now, Bowser does a great job holding the edge on the outside, keeping his outside for arm free. This forces the back to the inside. What Queen does an outstanding job of running through the front, cleaning up where Smith, who gobbles up the one gap, he kind of fills into his hole. So this is great team defense. Everybody involved, taking the gaps, holding the outside, forcing the inside, and Queen cleans it up. The next one, this is really great recognition by Patrick Queen and by Roquan Smith. Once they see that Mayfield is running a boot, and everybody does the same thing. They fake to one side, they boot out the other side. Watch what PQ does. He immediately recognizes that there's going to be a crosser, and he turns immediately and takes that away. He runs underneath it, didn't know it was there, but knew it was there because that's what the action dictated, and he takes that away from it. Smith does a great job. He carries the first flat, who the quarterback's going to look to, and typically, either from the backside or play side, they bring that second flat, that second ace up their sleeve. Smith does a great job of starting with the first flat, then falls off and negates a big gain by the second flat, who was the trail player. The next play is just a spectacular display of technique and physicality by PQ. Again, the Panthers are trying to run that counter we saw earlier with the backside offensive guard and the tackle pulling. This time, Queen on his own recognized the actions and slices back underneath behind the pullers in order to make the tackle. And then finally, this really excited me to watch Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen work in tandem. It's like they're tied at the hip. Both Smith and Queen see the action, then slip to the backside. The running back starts to work over. A lot of guys would overrun this, but they fall back into the gaps where it's open based on the offensive line. And watch how they basically do it together. They keep gap integrity, leaving the back once he comes back with no place to go. So well-orchestrated calls on the defensive side, excellent execution along the front seven, but Smith and Queen are really beginning to learn to work in tandem and could become one of the best tandem linebacking combinations in the league. The Ravens traveling to Jacksonville to take on a Jacksonville Jaguar team that's showing signs of looking like they could be pretty good. They do turn the ball over, so Coach Macdonald, you can imagine, is going to dial up some pressure to see if he can force some of those turnovers like he did last week.